Well, hello there! Welcome once more to Panchoy's Kitchen. And if this is your first time stopping by, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to you. Yes, today I'm sharing with you the recipe for this crowd-pleasing, also delicious, perfect Palava sauce, or Egusi as our Nigerian friends will call it. This is perfect with your yam, your plantain, your rice, your eba, whatever you choose to have this with. This is gonna be a big hit. So come along with me, let's do this. So these are the ingredients you will need, and as always I'll list everything in their right quantities for you in the description box. Yes, it's gonna be loaded, fully loaded, as you can see. Delicious. So to start, I'm gonna go ahead and boil my cow skin and my snails, or escargot if you're French, francophone, you call français, you know, on peu. Dice my onion. I'm just gonna put a half of the onion on that. That is my snail and the cow foot, just to give it a little bit of seasoning and cook it. Add some salt. Yeah, but steamy nam, so just a little bit of water to help this process. See, not too much. Cover. So now I'm just gonna blend some peppers, garlic, onion, and tomatoes together. That will be the base of the stew. Now I'm just gonna roughly chop up this onion. I don't need it any smaller or anything in the blender. Tomatoes already washed, so I'm just gonna cut them up. I'm not taking out the seed or anything, just cut up tomato. Nothing special. This onion I'm just going to dice, and that is what is going to go in the oil to fry. So I'm going to transfer my diced onions onto a plate, and we can pretty much start making our actual stew now. So I'm going to place a saucepan on fire, turn up the flame, let it warm up a little bit. Let's see how this is doing. I'm just going to give it a stir. So the wele, or the skin, is pre-cooked, so it's not going to take that much time. I just want it to be able to absorb some onion and salt and the flavors from the snails, and that will be it. So this is pretty much all the palm oil I have left. It should be about a cup. That should be enough. Ideally, or typically I should say, not ideally, Agushi really absorbs the oil, so when you make Palava sauce, it tends to require more palm oil. I think it's a good time for us to add our onions into the oil. It is warm enough. And that will go in together with the momone. That is salted and fermented fish. Yeah.
Yes.
It helps bring, cured fish. Augusta says cured fish, or cured fish. So this is going to eventually disintegrate, infuse into the oil, and just bring a great aroma. Sentinel, sentinel. You can take out the bone because I don't want it hurting anybody. Momone kase. 2 minutes later.
Few minutes later.
I'm just going to add some tomato paste. I think this is about enough. So this is the 6-ounce jar. I would say I put about 4 ounces in there. I still have this much in there. About 3 tablespoons. And that should be enough because we have a lot of fresh tomatoes. And now I'm just going to stir. Yeah, chip tin tomatoes, Nemo. Tin tomatoes. Yeah, tin tomatoes, Nemo. Okay, on a more serious note, you want the tin tomatoes to be very well fried, well cooked. Especially when you make Agushi stew. My mom ideally wants you to boil the peppers, actually. I don't know, but she claims it gives it a fun smell. You smell the rawness of the peppers in it if you don't pre-cook it. And the same way with the tomatoes, I guess. So let's cook it for as long as we can. So it's been another like 2 minutes. Tomato is fried. See, almost no moisture in it. And now I'm just going to add the blended tomatoes, onions, garlic. And let it cook. So about 15 minutes later, your tomato sauce should look about this. It should thicken, well cooked, the oil coming back on the surface. And I think it's a good time for me to add my snails and wele in here so that they can absorb the flavors of the stew as well. The choice of protein in your stew is totally up to you. You can choose to make it all seafood, you can add any meat, you can make it vegan, just use mushroom and it's still going to be delicious, whatever you want. So here I'm blending my agushi. I've added some water and I'm going to add salt. I always like to blend mine with salt. That is how I was taught. It helps to make sure that your agushi clumps beautifully in your stew. So here I'm adding in my shrimp powder that I want to go in before I add the agushi to the stew, definitely. And so as you can tell from the list of my ingredients, I didn't add any seasoning cube. That powdered shrimp is going to do enough to the stew that I don't need anything. So now I'm blending the agushi, and here we go into the stew. As thick as it is, you want to just pour it in there. Just agitate the stew a little bit. Make sure it's well situated in the tomato base. Don't stir vigorously at this point. Cover and let it cook on the lowest heat until it forms beautiful clots. That should take about 5 minutes. So about 5 minutes later, look at how it's looking beautiful, right? Yes, that's how you want it to be. Otherwise, it's going to be just liquidy running in there, and you don't want that. And a big shout out to my moms out here, moms, aunties, matisse, moshe me pa, me damasi nyame nhyira mo. Thanks for your love, me damasi. And then in some pa mo kafa me ho ni bibia. But I know most of you have not subscribed, so please ask my siblings or anybody to help you so you know how to do that and help grow your daughter's channel. Thank you. Nyame nhyira mo. So anyway, here right now I'm going to add my fish. I just added the mackerel in here. I specifically cut them into these tiny pieces just so that they are just, not flake it like I would normally do. I thought it was a nicer way to do it too. So I just cut it up this way before I baked or smoked it. And that is perfect now. So I'm just going to let this sit in here a little bit and focus on cutting up my mushroom. So that is covered. And now I'm going to cut up my mushroom. Yes, these have seen better days. I know. I'm all bomb very. I got them like 5 days ago and I had intended to make some light soup with it. but I didn't get around to it before my work week started. So of course it had to sit in the fridge till I was able to make something. And palava sauce one. So here we are making delicious palava sauce with a bunch of mushroom because I'm a mushroom lover. And this is pretty much the last bit of it. So there we go. Heap them all in your bowl and straight into your stew it goes. Yeah, so I covered it again after I stirred it because you want that agushi to cook through. If you don't let it cook all the way through, that's why the Nigerians, when they use it to make stew, they actually fry it in the oil on the side. I've seen certain recipes like that. So let me not generalize, but I've seen recipes that's how they cook it. Because if you don't make sure this agushi is well cooked, a bit just stew, you will smell it. There's gonna be this smell at the back, some aftertaste as well. You really don't want that. So make sure the agushi cooks very well. This is not just like putting egg in stew to make egg stew. This is agushi and it has a funny smell if it's not well cooked. And of course your stew is not going to even last long. So I've put my mushroom in the stew, stirred it and covered it to cook. And now I'm going to focus on my spinach. Actually today I'm using a blend of spinach and kale because I felt like, you know what, I want the nutrients in the kale as well. So that's what I'm doing. You can do that if you like, but you have to remember that kale has a little bit of bitterness to it. So it's not going to be anything that is overpowering. But if you make this with a blend and it tastes a little bit, you taste some of the bitterness, just know that it's coming from the kale. But it's healthy for you, it's good for you. And this was very good though. It wasn't anything really different. I still liked it. I liked the kale in here. So here's a baby kale in there now, showing you there's way more spinach in there than kale. So if you find a blend like that, it should be a perfect balance. I never like to use frozen vegetables. If you want to use frozen, you can go ahead, but I like to use the fresh spinach. It doesn't take much time to cut. You don't have to cut it into like very slender slices, tiny slices, because once it cooks, it wilts anyway. It's not really like contemporary that you really have to make it into to end up cutting your fingers, okay? You see, I told you the mushroom, when it cooks, it brings out a lot of the moisture. So now, of course, our egusi stew is not as thick anymore, or our gushi. Let me be the Ghanaian I am, okay? It's not as thick anymore. It's a little bit runny, and now I'm going to add the spinach to that as well. Yes, that's you're thinking she's going to make a big pot of stew, but you know this is going to wilt in a minute, in a heartbeat, and it's going to be like, where did everything go? And at this point, my biggest headache right now is how to make sure that everything is well mixed up without ending up with a mess on the stovetop. So slowly but surely, I'm just turning it side by side, and gradually we will get there, okay? Best thing to do is just cover it a little bit, let the steam work its magic on everything, and it will really make the spinach wilt right away anyway, that you wouldn't have to go through all this trouble. So let's cover, let the steam cook through it. And as to at this point, I can say it's almost done. And so I have started cooking my yams. That is what we are having with it. And it's almost done. So it's going to be perfectly timed. And look, see, it wilted. It is all the way reduced. Look at that. It's like we never added all that spinach in here. Yes, that's what happens when you cook spinach. Everything just goes black. But that's still plenty of stew. This is a big pot, so that is still enough stew that will last us quite a while. And look, so I let it just simmer uncovered for about 3 more minutes, and at this point you can see that krabi was stew anymore. This stew was actually made with palm oil, but I told you that agushi absorbs all the palm oil anyway, and it wasn't that much. It was literally a little bit under a cup of palm oil that I used. So that is all we got. But I like the color. I typically make my agusi stew with just coconut oil or olive oil anyway. So this works beautifully. It's a beautiful color, not all the way too red. And at this point, our stew is done. Just look at that. Just look at that. Just look at that. You want it? Make your own. You want it? Make your own. This went so well with the yam. This was so good. This is like a match made in heaven, you know. But you're PC and now board yam PC papa be any palava sauce. This is so good. Highly nutritious. Almost way too nutritious at this point, I should say, with all that there is in it. And I really hope you are able to give this a try. So we had our yams, the kid had rice, and if you say yam and palava sauce is a match made in heaven, I don't even know what to say about rice and palava sauce. This was so good. I really hope you are able to try this. I know you will love this. You can make some eba, you can have whatever you want with it. It is just perfect. Just look. Okay, you let me go and eat. Thanks for watching. Thanks for doing this with me. Please like and share this video, and until I come your way next time with something delicious, be loving, be kind, be happy. That is salted. Ouch! Sentinel. Aji baby, I'm only sentinel. Aji baby.
Bisa no boni sema. So ni musa ba ba kusi. What's next?
We can start chopping the stuff.